I just took a trip to Toronto with my husband and our 11-month-old baby. And because I'm on a path to financial independence on a super low income, you better believe that I made it my mission to spend as little as possible while still having an amazing time. So here are my tips and tricks and what worked for me in keeping our trip as budget friendly as possible, again, while still having a great time. I'll also let you know what worked for me as far as traveling with a little one and things that actually worked in practice. And again, how that worked for us. Everyone's different, every baby's different, but there's some things that I found that really helped. So here we go. So for background on the trip, we were traveling for a family wedding, and then a week before we arrived, we had some sad news in that family matriarch passed away at 104 years old, and they decided to schedule the funeral for that week that we were going to be there. So it was a sad occasion, but we were kind of glad that that sad occasion turned into a way to see everyone all together. So we actually ended up traveling for both a wedding and a funeral. We stayed in a hotel room with a kitchen, which was very helpful in being able to store food and save money on breakfast. So that was super helpful again. And we also rented a car, which was very helpful in being able to get out and get to grocery stores, which is going to be one of my top tips. So that's the background on the trip. We were there for 7 full days. So it was great to be able to take my husband's father to visit his family because it was his side of the family, and then we ended up being able to see both his my husband's father's mother's side and his father's side of the family as well for those 2 events. So again, a sad occasion that turned into a reason to see family from both sides of my husband's father's family. So that is a background on why we were traveling and what we did while we were there. I will also insert some pictures of our hotel so you can see what we were working with. Here are my top 10 budget travel tips. Number 1 is for me to pack as light as possible. This is a change to how I have packed previously in wanting to just be prepared as possible, because as a new mom, I was kind of getting my footing and figuring out what would I need for the baby on the plane, especially didn't really know. So this time I thought, let me only take what I know I will use rather than things that I might have to use. For example, when I traveled in February, I had baby Tylenol, baby aspirin, and baby Benadryl for a 6-month-old, 5-month-old. And we'd never used that at home, and I just thought I wanted to have it just in case on the plane. I did not end up needing it on the plane, and I did not take it with me on the plane. So compared to what I took for a 5-month-old to what I took for an 11-month-old, I mean, I less than half of what I used, because my goal was to travel with only 1 bag as a carry-on. And then we check them. Budget-friendly tip number 2 is to be as organized as possible. For me, this is a mental thing. It helps me know what I have and where it is, so I don't spend a lot of time or energy kind of rifling through looking for things. I will tell you the number 1 item that I used throughout the entire trip was a bottle of lavender-scented hand sanitizer from Dr. Bronner. Tip number 3, and this is when traveling with a little one, is to bring a ton of snacks. I found it super helpful to just be able to grab a snack and hand it over and kind of keep the peace. I found that to be very effective because everyone gets tired, and when you're tired and hungry, it's just a recipe for disaster. I'm also kind of still at the phase where I care what my child eats, so this was helpful to be able to hand over something that I knew was relatively healthy and just, again, keep the peace. Everyone gets cranky when your blood sugar gets low, so it's just helpful to have snacks on hand all the time. Tip number 4, when traveling with a little one especially, is to keep active before getting on the plane. And I know there are kind of varying schools of thought on this, and it's all a crapshoot. Sometimes this backfires. The tip is to stay active. I found that keeping the little one entertained before getting on the plane and getting sort of the wiggles out really allows for a smooth journey. And it's like I was holding my breath the whole time, kind of hoping that my child would go down. I am nursing, so I was able to nurse on the plane, and thank goodness, both times, actually all 4 times we've been on the plane, the baby has just gone straight to sleep on the plane and slept through it, which is a godsend because the baby does not like the car. So thankfully it's just the car that's not really a favorite at the moment, but the noise and the sound and the motion of the airplane in flight was very soothing. So thankfully I did a lot of moving before we got on the plane, and then once we got on the plane, it was lights out. So thank goodness for that. Tip number 5 is once we reached our destination, I went grocery shopping first thing. So as soon as we landed, and we landed pretty late, actually we didn't, it's a bit of a saga. Anyway, go grocery shopping when you first land so that you have the things that you need for your entire trip. The saga part is that we landed actually around 11 and got to the hotel, and of course our rooms weren't ready. There was a big hullabaloo because our flight had been canceled for the night before, so they didn't know that we were arriving. We thankfully called ahead and let them know that we would be arriving later, but the room still wasn't ready. Long story short, we ended up having like a 6-hour delay from when we landed to when we actually got to our room. So we were all exhausted. The baby's nap schedule was completely out the window. So poor thing, ended up having to take a nap. And then by the time we got dinner, everyone was exhausted. No nap for the kid. So it took the baby a while then to settle back down. Long story short, I ended up going grocery shopping at like 10:30 at night, but I forced myself to go on the first day because I found it really helpful to have supplies stocked and ready to go from the first moment you're there so that you use them for the entire time. And it's a huge cost-saving device to have those things from the first time you land. At least I found it to be that way. So that's one of my biggest tips, is to buy as much as you can from the grocery store as opposed to like the hotel concession or having to go out for them in the form of going out to eat. So that's my tip. Go grocery. Budget-friendly tip number 6 is to explore the hotel on the first day and see what all there is to offer. So for example, and when I was single, I used to do this more without the family. I would go to the gym very often, and I would tend to get a lot of water because I am someone that drinks about 100 ounces of water a day. So this time I just ended up buying bottled water because it was much more convenient. But in the past, I would go to the hotel gym and see if they had a water fountain or a water bottle filler station that I could use and just use that. So that's kind of a cost-saving tip. Not not an effort-saving tip, but for the cost, I would just go to the gym and get fresh water. So we did explore the hotel to see what it had to offer, and we were able to use the pool, which was a ton of fun. For this particular location, we had to reserve the pool in advance, so we were only able to go once. If the hours had been different, or if we had been able to just drop in, maybe we would have gone more, but I was really happy to go that one time. I love being in the water with my child. It was a ton of fun to do that, so I was really happy to at least get to explore and enjoy the pool at least once during our trip. Tip number 7 is be prepared to do laundry. So I checked beforehand to make sure that there would be laundry facilities available, and I remembered to bring a big giant laundry bag, some soap, and some dryer sheets, which was super helpful. The front desk was able to give us coins because sometimes it's either like tokens or coins. In this case, it was coins, which was Canadian currency too. So it was helpful to have that on hand. So I was able to do laundry. I had planned in my mind that I would be able to do laundry every day. This was not the case because there was sort of a waiting list, a wait for the machines. So I did not remember that, but doing laundry was super helpful again in being able to pack as light as possible and just being prepared to do laundry there. So again, that was a money-saving tip in that we didn't pay a bunch of baggage fees for more clothes, but it did take some time and effort. So again, it's cost benefit. I'm just used to doing a load or two of laundry every day, and it was helpful to be able to just stay in that routine. Tip number 8 is to get outside and explore the city around. This was more for the enjoyment of our trip and saving money on that enjoyment. Just walking outside was a huge time saver as well as a sanity saver, just being able to get out and walk. It happened that there was a civic center right across from our hotel, and there was a sitar performance going on. Again, randomly popped up, and the baby got to experience sitar performance for free. I think it was a rehearsal, so that was why we weren't charged, and she was just able to experience that. It was a ton of fun for her to see that. So kind of an unexpected benefit. The city was gorgeous, at least the area where we were. We were in the Markham area of Toronto, and it was a lot of fun to be able to get out and explore. The sidewalks were huge, and the city was clean, which was a huge benefit. So I highly recommend getting outside wherever you are. And tip number 9 for budget-friendly travel is to stay healthy. This is a big one because I was very, very persistent in making sure that we all drank our water, that we got sleep, that we were eating healthy with fresh greens in our diet, and that we were having enough vitamin C and vitamin D. Number 1 is sleep, which there's really not a ton you can do on that. But for us, being healthy also a big way that we stay healthy is by having that vitamin C and vitamin D. So I was handing out the emergency packets and making sure that we ate fairly healthy as well. So thank the good Lord, we were able to stay healthy throughout the entire trip. And that is a huge cost savings because nobody wants a trip to the doctor unexpectedly. And then budget-friendly tip number 10 is have fun, keep a good attitude. And this is easier said than done, but I've found, at least for myself, as someone who A, tends to overthink things, and B, likes to be in control. If I'm in a situation when I can't be in control and I just have to release all sort of expectations, it really helps to keep a positive attitude and look on the bright side and kind of try to be as lighthearted as possible. That is always my goal personally as an overthinker, is to just let go and let God whenever possible. So this is a really good way to practice that mantra, and it had really great results because I had a fantastic time. It was so much work traveling with a little one. If you have a little one and you have traveled, you know that it's not a vacation, it's a relocation, which is very much what this was. It was for a good cause, and I think seeing family is always wonderful, and it was a really good experience, and I'm happy that my child has been out of the country before the age of 1. So all in all, it was a great trip, and keeping a good attitude, looking on the bright side of things, and just having fun was a huge help to me. All right, there you have it. Those are my 10 budget-friendly trips for international travel and travel with a little one. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Also, let me know your favorite budget travel tips, how you keep your travel expenses down while having as much fun as possible. I love to learn about new tips. So if you've watched this far, thank you so much. And as always, I thank you for watching, and I hope you'll keep watching. Bye.